The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the people's platform.
Aloha, I'm Ashley Kirkowitz. I'm here with the Naleo team as part of the Hawaii County Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. June 1st marks hurricane preparedness season, and so more than 50 organizations have joined up here at the Civic Auditorium to provide resources, information, and support for individuals and households that are interested in becoming more prepared ahead of the next disaster event. Join us as we talk story with some of these organizations. I am here with Talmadge Magno, the administrator for our Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency. We are at this really incredible disaster preparedness fair that you and your team have coordinated. Talmadge, it's been, I think, a number of years since we've been able to do this because of COVID and other events. What is the significance of coordinating something like this for our community?
Well, this is a really good opportunity, and it has been a number of years, and so we're long overdue. Community engagement with my group, my civil defense, and the county is critical to set the level that we're engaged in and ready for any disaster. Today, June 1st, marks the beginning of hurricane season. National Weather Service forecasts a kind of a below average year for us, but it's even more important to not get complacent and be ready, not just for hurricanes, but all the disasters that we face on this island. So it just kind of brings everything that we deal with on this island to the forefront again. And being here in the community is part of it.
So, Talmadge, tell the community about what civil defense's role is in helping communities to prepare, respond to, and recover from a disaster event.
So we've got several roles, and it's trying to help people to identify what their vulnerabilities are, what their risks are, recognize them, and let them know what they can do and what resources are out there for them. That's one aspect. The second is messaging, letting people know the potentials of risks or hazards that are coming or what might be in the forecast, getting that information to them. And then I have this product in my hand.
I see that.
It illustrates the different messaging products that people can access to get our information, whether it's what the outdoor sirens mean, what the TV scroller what it's meaning, the radio message, and the emergency message that comes across your cell phone.
Talmadge, you mentioned emergency siren. Tell folks what exactly they should be doing when they hear that siren going off.
When a siren is activated, it's basically telling you to go to your source of getting information from the government. So whether it's turning on your radio, turning on your TV, picking up your cell phone to see what message is coming across, or if none of those, the county puts out an Everbridge product. Go look at our message, our email, those products, or go talk to one of your family, and that's what we try to get community members to do, is know their neighbors, know their vulnerable neighbors, so that you understand that some people are not going to be getting the messages, to go share information so that everybody's welfare is taken care of.
Right. So remind us again, what is the Civil Defense Agency's website? Because you've identified a number of informational products that you want community to know about. And you mentioned Everbridge. That is a text-based service that people have to opt into, subscribe to. So what is the website for your agency so folks can get more information?
So our website is www.hawaiicounty.gov/civil defense. So basically under the County of Hawaii's webpage.
Fantastic. And I think I just want to highlight that it's really important in these times of emergencies and disasters to tune into credible news information sources like civil defense and your partners so that people are getting accurate information in a timely manner.
That's exactly perfect. It's what we utilize the subject matter experts, whether it's National Weather Service or Hawaiian Volcano Observatories. We get our information from them, and we share that with the public.
Talmadge, thank you so much for not just today, but I think about the lava eruptions you've led us through, the hurricanes, the tsunami warnings. I think there's been a lot of sleepless nights on your end, but we just appreciate your humble servant leadership in leading our community through these really difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Naleo, for all you guys do.
Hi, I'm with John Vieira. Hi. He is the Community Outreach Lead for HAIMA, which stands for the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency.
That's correct.
John, your position is a new position, about a year in this role, but so very important as our island communities experience more natural disasters and emergency situations. So talk a little bit about the work that your division does and how we can get connected with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Ashley. So, we really want to take advantage of already what exists in Hawaii, and that's community, family, right? We're all tied, we're closely tied in the communities. But what we need to understand as a community and for our families is what do we do in the case of an emergency? Who's doing what, right? So what our office is doing at HAIMA in community outreach is just raising awareness. And we're in support of the counties, really. The county, runs the incident command in any disaster. So the better we can help to organize our communities, understand what plans that they may have for because we want communities to take, we want to empower communities to really take it upon themselves to be prepared, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why events like this that Civil Defense has coordinated, the Disaster Preparedness Fair, really lends itself to helping individuals, households, community figure out what do I need to be prepared for the next disaster.
Absolutely. And so we know government is there, right? So my job, I'm a government employee at the state level. We have local government, we have federal government. And so we know that there are things that we're going to do, but a disaster starts in a community and it's going to end in a community as we go through long-term recovery. And so we want people to understand that, right? So, some of our greatest communities out there that have plans and are connected, we want them to understand then what it is the state does. What does FEMA do, right? What does the county do? And so the county does a really good job, especially on the Big Island here. Really already has a lot of connectivity within the communities that they serve. So we're just here to support. How do we help with coordinate resources? And that's what the state does at HAIMA, right? We help to coordinate resources, manpower, because there's a lot that goes on.
There's a lot that goes on, and I know that you folks help to coordinate a lot of resources. So in 2018, there was the major kind of storm that happened on Kauai. A month later, Puna experienced the eruption. Following year, across the state, many communities were devastated by Hurricane Lane. So really do appreciate you looking out for all of the counties, but understanding that it's really the communities that step up to serve, and it's a partnership. It's a partnership between communities and government. That's wonderful.
And we want to empower them. So to me, this is all about empowerment. We're taking, we have so many organizations out there, both private and public and nonprofits, that looking at food sustainability, water quality. All of this just factors into resilience, whether it's under blue skies and, everyday steady states. But when we go into a disaster, we want to take advantage of what's already out there in the communities.
Okay, so you have a packet in your hand. Tell me a little bit about what's contained and how folks can get their hands on one.
Okay, first, here's a tough one, because my first question with somebody walking past their booth is, are you 2 weeks ready? Right? That kind of starts to stimulate the conversation of, yeah, I kind of am. A lot of time people will focus on food, yes, which is important, and clothing. But what about medications? What about your paperwork? So this bag that we have here that we're sharing is just an example of a waterproof bag that you can put your documents in, right? You can have multiple, whatever documents are important to you and your family, have it in here, because we go through the impact and there's a response. And then we go into recovery, the early stages of recovery. And this is where maybe you need information, right? How do you provide information to the county, to HAIMA at the state level, and the federal level with FEMA? And so we're pushing that with some information here about what's in a go bag, right? What's a call tree, or what's your emergency call tree? Some of the things we share is if your family's split up, who do you call? And if you only have people on your call tree that's in the same community as you, that's responding to the same disaster, that might not be effective. So can the person that everyone's going to contact maybe be on the continent, right? Maybe somebody that can kind of help coordinate where everyone is in a case of a disaster. So all of that basic information, this is not anything, we're not recreating the wheel here, right? But again, we're just raising awareness and we're providing this information to the community.
Where can folks find more information if they're not here today? Is this available for download on website? Do you mail it to folks in case that they want a hard copy?
For what we're doing, right, is going to our HAIMA website, right, at ready.hawaii.gov. I think I got to look, yeah. But the idea is first raise awareness and then call us. Call us to come out. I'm passing out my card, and my community outreach coordinator, Haoli Keave Aiko, is also here. And so we want to talk to you. We want to talk to the leaders in the community, neighborhood boards, town, anything. You have a town hall, right? Because again, we want this to be about people.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for this incredible resource that you're sharing with community, and we look forward to hearing more from you. I am here with Meredith with the county's Office of Aging. Meredith, could you let folks know what you do for the county?
Hi, my name's Meredith. I'm the Aging and Disability Resource Manager with Hawaii County Office of Aging, the Aging and Disability Resource Center.
Fantastic. We are here at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. What is some of the work that you and your team do to support our kupuna and folks with disabilities during a disaster?
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. One of the things we really focus on is making sure our kupuna and our adults with disabilities are proactive. So if and when there is an emergency, whether it be an individual one that just affects them, an illness or injury, or a natural disaster affecting our island or the community, making sure that they're prepared. So we provide a person-centered workbook so they can fill that out with family and friends so that they have it set up ahead of time, resources to assist them in case of an emergency.
What are some things in the workbook that you are helping kupuna to think through? Because we know that it's in these moments of emergency, that's not the time to make the plan. The time to make the plan is before things happen.
Right, yes. So we really want people to know what their needs are, think those through ahead of time, and then put together resources that can assist them. Our workbook really focuses on natural resources. Who's your neighbor? Who's somebody that lives down the street? Who can help you immediately as needed while waiting for county officials to come and assist? So that's one of the focuses. So people might need assistance with transportation, or getting food delivered to them, or emergency medical attention. So really getting people around them that know that they need that and can help them as quick as possible.
So how do folks get a copy of this workbook and support it filling it out?
Great, yes. They can call our office, 808-961-8626. We have a free workbook. We also provide trainings to our kapuna groups and disabled adult support centers and groups, so we are more than happy to schedule to come out and do a training with a bunch of people all at one time.
And then I also see you have a little red card here, File of Life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is really important. This is File of Life, and inside this red packet is a card, and you put all your medical information in there. So your name, your doctor, your insurance, any medications you're on, any medical issues that you might have or concerns, health problems. And you keep this in your wallet or in your go bag. So if there's an emergency, you have all this information so people can help you as soon as possible.
If folks need help with, financially putting together their go bag, is that something that you folks can provide, helping them to build their kit?
Yes, definitely. We'd
Excellent.
be happy to help.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Meredith,
Thank
for
you.
all of the hard work that you do for our kupuna and folks with disabilities on Hawaii Island. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Mahalo, Ashley.
Mahalo. Hi, LaShawn. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
You are at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. What compelled you and your ohana to come out today?
Oh, well, I never really been in a dangerous situation concerning to, natural disasters, but I did have family that lived in Indiana, and recently there was a tornado that came through, but at least they were all safe because it missed all of them. But anyways, so they did help clean up the area and all that stuff, but what really compelled to me to come today is to really learn more about the island and all its natural disasters.
I think it's so smart of you being here and thinking about how you can be more prepared as an individual and for your family and your neighborhood. Are there particular booths that you stopped by that you really liked and got useful information from?
Oh, yeah, there was one. It was the one over the Sea Grant University of Hawaii, because they were talking about, the big winds and all that stuff. Because our house is pretty old. It's like 1994. And so it doesn't have like those shingle roofing. It has the metal roofing. So it's telling us about how to strap down our roofing when the winds do come, or if a tsunami does hit that, we would be still pretty safe.
Does your family have an emergency plan or a go bag?
No, not yet.
Not yet, but there are a lot of great resources here today to kind of help you get started in coming up with that plan and building up your go bag. What do you think?
Yes.
If there is one thing that you are going to do following this event to be more prepared, what's that one action you're going to take?
Probably prepare the go bag.
Putting together the go bag, yeah. What are some fun things you want to make sure you have inside there for you besides the normal, clothes and batteries and other things?
My portable DVD player.
Okay. You got a favorite movie you like to watch on repeat?
All the Rockies and all the Creed movies.
Okay, you're my kind of guy. I love those movies. Super inspiring. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us and talking about the work that you and your family are going to be doing to be more prepared.
You're welcome.
I'm with Jennifer Zelko with Hawaiian Electric. She also happens to be on our board of directors for Naleo TV. Thank you, Jen, for all of your service. Here at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair, Hawaiian Electric has a very engaging booth. Can you talk a little bit about the high voltage display that you have and then other resources you've brought to help communities prepare for emergencies?
So today at the fair, we've got the high voltage display, which is always a highlight. The kids especially love it, but it's really about power line safety, and it shows why you wouldn't want to get near down power lines because you don't know whether they are energized or not. And so we're loving all of the questions we're getting, and we show a hot dog getting shocked and vegetation as well.
Jen, and you also have an emergency preparedness booklet here. Tell us a little bit about it. What's contained and how can folks get their hands on it if they're not at the fair today?
Okay, awesome. The great news is our handbook for emergency preparedness is available online and in various languages. There's also a much shorter version, a summary really of the checklist of things you need if you're preparing for an emergency, if there is an outage, if you need to leave your home. It contains a lot of great information, even about food safety, if you had an extended outage.
Got it. Can you say a little bit about what folks should do in order to prepare for disruptions in energy power outages in the event that does happen?
Sure. The number one thing is we say you have to pack or you have to have prepared a kit. Things like batteries, medication, not just for your family, but for your pets, bottled water, other just important things, paperwork that you might need in case you need to leave very quickly. So we always talk about a go bag, what you would put in your go bag. So again, batteries, water, food, anything you might need if you're going to be leaving the house very quickly.
What are some things folks can do to prepare their home to be safe? I know that a lot of folks, say in the Puna and Ka'u region, are surrounded by albizia. So what are some tips that you have for households to ensure that their home is safe ahead of the next disaster?
It's so important to make sure you are doing vegetation management. It's one of the biggest hazards we have here on Hawaii Island. You mentioned the albizia trees in the Puna area. So really keeping your driveway around your home, around your neighbors' homes as well, making sure you are actively cutting back vegetation.
And I just want to give you guys a quick shout out. You folks have been instrumental in doing an updated version of Hawaii County's albizia management plan, where you've brought together state and county partners to start prioritizing where are these areas that we need to start mitigating things like albizia, just so that we are prepared for the impacts of future events. So thank you for doing that. The last question that I had for you was, say there is an event like an Azelle or an eruption, and there's obviously going to be some disruptions to electric service, electric transmission. What are some ways in which the utility helps to manage and prioritize repairs?
Sure. So the first thing, if there is a disaster, a lot of people ask, well, what are the steps? How come my home, we don't have power yet? We always take the safety of our employees and our community is number one. And so that's number one. Second is assessing damage. Where is the damage? We have to look at our transmission lines and substations first before we start moving to where the distribution lines, where the power comes to your home. And then, of course, the full restoration of a circuit. So there is a prioritizing from those transmission lines that bring the power from the plants and solar farms and the wind farms. We always take care of those first.
You folks have excellent communications going out. If folks want more information, they can see you online, social media, website. What are your handles?
Absolutely. So it's www.hawaiianelectric.com. Lots of information about safety. Again, the handbook for emergency preparedness is on there. Lots of tips about making sure you unplug your appliances, turning off light switches, things like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jen. We really appreciate you
so
and everyone
much.
at Hawaiian Electric.
Thank you.
I am here with Dane DuPont. He is the founder, one of the founders of H-Ferry. Dane, tell us what H-Ferry means and what you folks do to support communities in preparing for disasters and just increasing overall resilience.
Yeah, so we're the Hawaiian Volcano Education and Resilience Institute. We're a somewhat new nonprofit, but you might have heard of us through Hawaii Tracker. That is the group we administrate on Facebook, largest group online for Hawaii Island. And we focus on disaster preparedness and mainly around the volcanoes. That's been our thing since the 2018 eruption, when we got thrown into this whole gambit. But since then, we've started this thing called digital resilience. And that all entails being able to crop up and integrate with these groups that already exist online to be able to get information and give information and create a two-way street of communication with emergency managers and the community. So a situation like Lahaina, we're aware of it faster and we can respond faster, we can react faster.
All of this came out from your personal experience with some others in starting Hawaii Tracker in the 2018 eruption, where you felt there was a gap in communication and wanting to have kind of boots on the ground there to empower community with information so that they can make decisions to keep their households safe. What are those lessons that you've learned there that you're kind of deploying through H-Ferry?
So there's a bunch of lessons that we learned, but one of the big ones was that in a void, when the information isn't available, that's the breeding ground for misinformation, for rumors to spread, and for fear to come about. And then fear leads to panic, panic leads to bad decisions, and then that's where, for the volcanoes, one of the main hazards comes about is how do you react to it? And when you're sharing information online, the speed of everything that's moving, right? So being able to put out stuff when you only have partial information and not being afraid to say that we're not sure on what's happening exactly, but just to have something in place. So when people are looking for information, they know where they can go to find the update when it's available.
Got it. And it's about being open and honest about the information that you have, but going back out into the community and letting folks know as you receive more information what the latest is, which I think is so important. You mentioned earlier having connections with government and community. I think it's really amazing that you're serving as a bridge in bringing government folks together, community folks together, so that at the end of the day, folks are being kept safe because they're getting accurate, timely information.
Right. We want to create that bridge that brings together these emergency managers and the community, but it's all about trust. Trust between the community and their emergency managers that they are competent and able to handle the situation at hand, even if it is a very bad one, like the 2018 eruption or the Lahaina fire. And then trust with the emergency managers back to the community that we're not going to just feed them the rumors and stuff that we find online, that we can actually fact check, we can actually go through in rapid speed and be able to figure out what is accurate by going back to the community and being able to ask them what is happening. One of the philosophies that I have is that the community itself, the people that live in the community, are the best fact checkers for that community. I live by Fissure 8 from the 2018 eruption. I've heard countless times since the eruption that, oh, Fissure 8's doing something. Nobody can really tell me that, though, because I live right there. I can go outside and check it, right? So people that are very familiar with their own communities, fact-checking information about their communities, to be able to give to civil defense or the authorities to be able to make decisions upon, and trying to do this in a very rapid format so that we're able to keep up with the disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's taken a lot to kind of build that infrastructure and trust between government and community. But I just really appreciate the vetting that's going on so that the information that is published, we can trust that information that's being shared. Where can folks go for more information or if they want to get involved with your organization?
Right, so check us out on hveri.org, hveri.org. That is our website, and then our social media. The main presence is the Hawaii Tracker Facebook group. And just check Hawaii Tracker, search for that, and you should be able to find it right away. Go ahead and join, and then you'll be cued in for the discussions, the collaborations, the sharing of information that happens with the community, with us, when the next disaster happens.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to you, Dane, and to Philip Ong. I know he's the other co-founder for HFAIRY. We really appreciate everything that you do to keep our community safe and informed. I'm here with Thomas. He is the president of the Big Island Amateur Radio Club. Thomas, it's great to see you at the Disaster Preparedness Fair. Tell us a little bit about this club, when it got started, how many members you have, how you can get involved.
Shoot. You know what? I'm a little unclear on the exact year we got started. They kind of just tossed me in as president beginning of the year here. But we are about 50 members strong, but growing. We already have a good 23, 24 people that are interested in signing up with us. And we're trying to help with disaster preparedness and making sure that folks can communicate. A lot of folks know that these days you can actually send emails over ham radio. So in an emergency, if communications are down, cell phones are down, all of that, you can actually still use a backup battery and a ham radio to send a message, even if you can't speak. And it's a good way to keep in touch with people. We're hitting a cycle, the end of the cycle right now, where you can actually get as far out as literally across the world and talk to somebody in another country, make a new friend, have a pen pal, if you will.
That's
that
amazing.
Kind of thing.
So you have about 50 members right now around Hawaii Islands.
Mm-hmm.
How do folks sort of stay connected? Do you have different test event scenarios that you do every month where you make sure that you're connected, the network works, folks are getting communications?
Yeah, we do have some stuff that actually happens monthly. There is the CERT group that does all of the siren checks around the island to make sure that all of the emergency sirens are working. We do have the VOAD group, which is another disaster preparedness group that's a part of us. We have members in all of those places, and then we also have a monthly meeting every second Sunday at the Kamana Senior Center, and it's at 2 o'clock for general, folks to come in. There's no admission fee. If you want to just come in and just check it out, come see us, say hi, and see what you can get and what you want to do out of it.
So what exactly is involved in sort of setting up your own ham radio, amateur radio operation at your home if you're interested in?
Well, you can actually get started with a literal $20 radio. I mean, I went for one a little bit more pricey, but you can get a $20 radio and you can just listen. And then if you want to get deeper into it, we do have some people that will actually take care of the testing and all of the general information about getting certified.
What is certification involved? How long is that process?
Well, that depends. A lot of it is all self-taught, and then there is some options of people being able to go and learn on their own up to a certain point. There are 3 tiers that you can get in ham radio. There's the amateur tech, then there is the general, and then there's the amateur extra. And it kind of sounds a little odd, but the technician exam is usually what a lot of folks just get into, just so they can have a radio on hand and be able to communicate with the neighbor down the road that has another one.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see this being incredibly useful during times of disaster and love the fact that you're connected with VOED and CERT because these are members in every single one of our communities around the island
Exactly.
that have been trained up to be a support and activate during an emergency event. And I think, as you said, should communications go down, at least we can still stay connected
Exactly.
with each other with radio. That's fantastic. So if folks want to learn about getting involved, more information, besides going to Kamana Senior Center, do you guys have a website?
We do, and that's actually biarc.net, biarc.net.
Perfect. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for joining us, Thomas.
Thank
We
you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Right on. Thanks.
I'm with Kevin Kushel. He is a community pillar in the Puna region. He is a member of the Vibrant Hawaii Resilience Hub Network. He also has started a neighborhood watch group in Seaview. He is also a curator at the Pahoa Lava Zone Museum, which is something that came out of the 2018 eruption. He's an eruption survivor. And he is also one of our superstar volunteers for the Revitalize Puna initiative, which is helping community to recover from that event. Kevin, you wear so many hats. I would love for you to kind of talk about what really draws you to be a support for your community.
Well, I lived in the big city for 30 years in New York, and out of the whole country, if not the world, Pahoa gave me a place to live, a place to restart and reinvent, and that's 15 years ago now, and I just feel really passionate that it's an important, hip, wonderful community.
I noticed you're wearing a Vibrant Hawaii shirt. Talk to us a little bit about some of the work that you do with that organization.
Well, that's been a good 2 years now, and they've incubated resilience hubs around the island as a reaction to the lava flow, I guess, basically. But, then there was COVID, and, there was all these challenges that had to be met. And at Space in Seaview, we have a small group that have been, committed to creating a hub there because we're so remote. We have to, make sure that we're, fortified from within before something happens. And we've come a long way in 2 years. We definitely need more people. That's our next challenge is, really trying to pull in more people and explain the mission. But as a consequence, we have greater reliability on water service in the case of an emergency. Solar. They provide us now with a Starlink system. They're going to provide us with ham radio setup, and we're working with Kalani down the road, half a mile, to coordinate the whole Red Road, and there are people along the way.
I really love the fact that with the Resilience Hub Network, it's really community driven. Based on what your community needs, resources are provided, but there's also a lot of incredible talent and gifts within our community. So it really acknowledges that and allows people to give and contribute
and brings
in
out the
times of
best in
disaster.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I love that you're part of that network. Is there a mana'o that you would want to share folks, a takeaway of what can you do as an individual to be prepared and to support your community?
I would say get involved with your local, area that you live in, the neighborhood you're living in. Get to know people. A lot of people don't want to know people, but it really makes all the difference in safety and resilience when bad times come. And there are, this fair here just really illustrates, how, much there is to draw upon, and we have no excuse to not be ready, at least enough. They say you should have 14 days worth of food, but then civil defense will say, try to do your best. And, somewhere in the middle where it'll be more ready. I saw with the lava that so many people weren't ready. We had a month from the time it started to the time it hit. But, it was so adrenaline driven that, you could only focus kind of. And I mean, I ended up with having neighbors that just ended up in their truck in the bank parking lot that night with nowhere to go. It's
Wow.
heartbreaking.
I appreciate your advice. Have a plan, be ready, stay connected, and be
Yeah.
a support.
Definitely.
Thanks for doing all those things, Kevin. We appreciate you.
My pleasure.
I'm here with Skylar Kodani. He is the unit coordinator for the state's Medical Reserve Corps. How does someone go about becoming a member of the Medical Reserve Corps? Do you have to have a medical background?
No. Although a lot of our volunteers are medical background, you don't have to have any kind of medical background. There's a lot, like I would say a good, maybe about 25% that's just normal volunteers.
Yes. So you folks play a huge role in providing education and outreach prior to a disaster event.
Yes.
What is the Medical Reserves Corps role should there be a disaster or an emergency situation? What do you folks do?
So primarily we are working with like any kind of like health response. During COVID, we were the main people that were going out there to get the COVID testing, the COVID shots, especially right outside here in the parking lot, right? It's kind of that's correct. So we're doing that. During the Lahaina response, we were out there with the Lahaina Clinic. We're helping assist there's a clinic as well as a outreach clinic. My stepson actually works for the food basket at the Kanakapali. There was a makeshift clinic over there that our volunteers were helping out there. And then during the lava flow, we were assigned to assist the Red Cross through that event.
You've been to many communities and you've helped people get prepared. What is the most important thing you want folks to know and to be ready for in the event of a disaster? It's not a matter of if, but when. So what is the mana'o you want to share to folks?
Okay, I would say most important, be prepared with as much stock as you have because you do not know when something will happen. I think a lot of things with the Lahaina fire, like many people were unaware that, like everybody was expecting a hurricane to come in, but we never expected a fire to come out, and things can escalate so quickly. So having everything prepared and having your go kit, that way if you have to evacuate, you have everything to go and leave your place and be aware of the civil defense alerts. So that way and have a plan before anything. Because by the time an emergency happens and you have to respond, it's too late.
Yeah, it's good to have a plan before disaster strikes. One more time, the name of the website so that folks can get more information.
Prepare Now Hawaii.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Skylar. Appreciate you. I'm with Kristen Frost Albrecht. She is the executive director of the Food Basket for Hawaii Island. She has helped our community through a number of disaster events, ensuring that the most vulnerable and in need are able to access food support. Kristen, can you talk about some of the work that you've been doing in community over the last few years and just the significant role that your team plays in ensuring people have access to food at critical times?
Sure. So we've had four federally declared disasters in the since 2014. We had Hurricane Iselle. We had the Kilauea lava eruption in 2018, followed by Hurricane Lane, as of course you know. And then, of course, a long couple of years of the pandemic. And each one of those disasters required a different response to our community. Hurricane Iselle, it seemed like everybody needed ice and water, if you recall. And then the Kilauea lava flow, with everybody who had lost their homes and were setting up camps, they really needed food every day. So, we don't normally do food every day. We do food usually at the end of the month, or people need help for 1 week out of the month. But this was every day, 3 meals a day. So that was a very big difference. And then Hurricane Lane really devastated a lot of the crops that we grow here. Our agricultural producers were really under siege. And each of these things has been kind of building one after another. And then, of course, the pandemic, where so many people who had never, ever had to worry about losing their jobs, they lost their jobs. And so we went from serving 14,000 people pre-pandemic to serving 85,000 at the height of the pandemic. This week we got really disturbing news from a local, a new report that came out saying that we have the highest food insecurity in the state on this island, 40%.
It's very
I
significant
know,
and very alarming.
isn't it?
And so you folks play, I think, very critical role in providing an essential lifeline, really, for many families that are struggling to make it here. How many communities are you in, and what does the distribution service look like these days?
So we have over 100 partner agencies that are out there distributing foods. Those are food pantries, soup kitchens, school pantries, senior centers, community centers. We've got a lot of wonderful, amazing partners who just do this out of the goodness of their souls. And then we are in every community island wide. And should there be a community that doesn't have service, which happens on occasion, then we'll do a mobile drop. We do what we call Ohana food drops, which is when we set up in a community that has very high need, and we'll take the food out to them. And then they can come access it via bike, via walking, or via vehicle.
Would you happen to know, on average, how many households or individuals you're serving on a monthly basis through these partners and programs?
Yeah, so right now we're serving close to 60,000, best as we can count from the information that we gather. So that's gone up tremendously since after the height of the pandemic, we went down to about 50,000 a month, and it's just steadily climbing. Probably the hardest thing for us to see is we're now serving the Alice population in a big way. Those are the folks that are really hurting. They're working jobs. They just simply cannot make it through with all the other costs that are happening. We saw a report also in the same report that talks about the 40% food insecurity rate, that prices have raised 25% on food this past year. I think anybody who goes to the grocery store probably doesn't find that unreal to think about, but it's a lot.
Yeah, we're feeling the pinch. I don't think $100 goes as far as it once was. What does an Ohana box look like for folks when you are out in the community and you're distributing a food box?
Yeah, so we try and do a mixture of staple products, things that you can put into your food pantry or that are easy access. We like to really focus on foods that have high nutrition content, high protein. And then we always try and include fresh produce. We try and keep things balanced. Oftentimes we include rice or something else of that ilk. We're really fond of ulu, so if we can do ulu, we'll do ulu. But any of those things, and try and just strike that balance. A lot of this depends on what we're getting in. Unfortunately, the federal government doesn't, stay up with necessarily the rates that we're at. So we're trying to purchase as much food as we can to supplement what we get from the federal government.
Got it. So most of your funding is coming through the federal government, and I imagine local and state grants and even philanthropy, local donations.
We turn over every rock, I will say, to look for money.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks that are really relying on the support that the food basket provides.
Yeah, it's an honor to serve in this position, but sometimes it's a scary place to be because the need is so high. And it's not going away. So I think I love that we've got this fair here today to kind of bring everybody together and talk about solutions, because anybody who's hungry today, that is a disaster.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much for your caring and, kind-hearted leadership. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you. Hi, I'm here with Lori. She is one of the founders of Haka. Lori, let us know, what does Haka stand for, and when did you guys get started?
Okay, so we are the Hawaii Animal Kuleana Alliance, and we came together in 2018 during the Kilauea eruption. We were just a ragtag group of people that just came together. We didn't know each other at all. We saw the need on the internet, and so we ended up forming a Facebook group, which was kind of now we call them digital hubs, right? So that provided information, connected resources, and then it also connected people that just wanted to help. And so those people, and along with us, just started going in with trailers, and if people needed help, we were just there to help evacuate animals when they needed it. And then and we're talking everything from birds, sheep, horses, to your pets, your cats and dogs. And then we were able to help in the shelter once people were in the shelters with their pets. So we provided services once we got past the evacuation stage. And then we helped people find fosters for their animals, and then provided food and helped connect with services and things like that throughout the entire process.
So you grew out of the eruption, you were a grassroots group, and now you're a 501c3 nonprofit because you saw a tremendous need to support pets and animals in an emergency situation. Is there more that you're doing to kind of help households, animal owners get prepared for the next disaster event? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we help the whole ohana. We make sure everybody remembers that your pets are a big part of the ohana, and we don't want to leave them behind, right? So all of your emergency plans should include your pets. So we provide lists of how to make your emergency buckets, and be prepared that way. And things like right now, we're teaching people how to make harnesses out of rope in case of emergency, and things like that. That way, people are more prepared to evacuate their entire family if needed, or shelter in place. You know how to do those things for everyone in the family. And then we also use animals as a way to connect with the kids, especially because the kid. A lot of times, parents listen to kids when they kind of bug them about things like that. And so, one of the things that we want to do is teach kids how to be the administrators and creators of their emergency plans for their families, and give them that responsibility in their family. And connecting animals is a way for us to reach people in that way.
You're working on a program for teens, is that right, that you'd like to kick off later this fall? And the idea is to give kids that hands-on experience to be able to build those plans, but also get first aid CPR certified and other things. Talk to us a little bit about what you're envisioning there.
Yeah, so we really want to teach the kids a lot of what's in this room, the science parts of it, the preparedness parts of it. We want to bring in the culture. Our team, our leadership in our team is Native Hawaiian, so the culture is always really important to us. And so for our teen program, we want to really teach them just how to be ready, how to create that plan. We want to work with some of our partners who are able to also educate them in things like the CPR and first aid, counseling, so that we can also, not only can they help their family, but if they want to then become a volunteer with us and have a role, during a disaster, then they can help with things like that, and then also help out here because we do a lot of kid-oriented stuff when we go tabling in the community. And so we can always use help with.
I
kids.
love that you are working to build capacity and a sense of agency in our youth so they can see themselves as community contributors. They just need a chance and then need to be trained up. And I really think that they're going to be a tremendous support. If folks want to get involved, because I imagine that your alliance is island-wide, but you're always still looking to grow in more communities. How can folks get more information about your group and get in touch with you?
Absolutely. We can be found on all the socials at 808 Haka, 808 HAKA. So you can find us everywhere. We also have a great Facebook group called Haka Ohana. And that's a place where people can communicate with one another. Sometimes they might need to rehome a chicken, or ask a question about spay and neuter, things like that. So we also try to provide information about spay and neuter. Microchipping is really important, obviously, if an animal's lost during a disaster, and it's required by law now.
It is. And I think our animal control administrator, Matt Reynolds, shared that less than 5% of our animals are actually microchipped. So I think Haka is a very important partner in getting that information out. And I believe they have money to also support folks that might need, financial assistance in getting that microchip. So thank you for everything that you are doing to provide support for our communities and for our pets and animals who definitely are members of our ohana.
Mahalo. Actually, we appreciate it.
I am here with Captain Samuel Lamar with the Salvation Army. He serves as the Hilo Corps officer, but you also serve a special role in helping community navigate emergencies and disasters. Tell us a little bit about that.
So essentially, the Salvation Army, their role in disasters is one, feeding people, and two, emotional, spiritual care, and then long term recovery. And so that's what sort of we do, and that's why we got our kitchen.
Tell us a little bit about this fancy mobile kitchen that you guys have just acquired. Where can we find it, and how is it going to be used to support community members?
So we're going to use the kitchen, one, to feed the homeless folks in the shelter we're going to start. We're going to use it for emergency disaster facilities. And then we're also going to use it for community events. It's almost done. It'll be soon certified, and then we'll see it out on the road.
That's really fantastic. Do you have a plan for which communities you're going to be hitting up first?
No, we're just going to wait for event invites to come and then go be a part of that.
Okay. If folks want to get involved with your mission and different, projects that you're doing, how might they go about doing that?
They can call our local office. I don't have the number on me, but they can also find us on Facebook, Salvation Army Hilo, and online, just to Google Salvation Army Hilo.
Can you talk a little bit historically about some of the work that Salvation Army has done to support communities here on Hawaii Island, just navigate a myriad of disasters? Because we've seen so many fires, lava flows, hurricanes, floods.
So the Salvation Army's been in Hilo since 1894. And the Hilo Corps is actually the very first Salvation Army in the state. And so that's we're sort of the anchor point of the state. It's been through tsunamis, it's been through tidal waves, hurricanes, lava flows. Most recently in 2018, we fed 65,000 meals in 5 months in the 2018 lava flows. And so that's sort of where we came up with the idea of getting a mobile kitchen.
Got it. Okay. You've helped folks through a number of events. What sort of advice do you have for members of our community when it comes to just being prepared for what is coming down the pike?
Yeah, we always suggest keeping a few days food on hand prepared. Have emergency plans set with your family, emergency meeting points and such, ways to communicate, batteries charged, cars fueled up, things of that nature.
Folks are experiencing high cost of living here in the islands these days. So I think the idea of having 2 weeks worth of food on hand or even building a go kit might be hard on some folks. Are you aware of resources that folks can take advantage of to help them build those kits?
We don't have any resources available for that. We always suggest that the kits don't always have to be that expensive. A couple cans of chili, some Spam, water bottles saved up, buy an extra one every month, rotate them out because sometimes they're plastic, things of that nature.
Those are great tips. Thank you so much, Captain. We really appreciate everything that you and your teams do.
All right, God bless.
I am with Miley here at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. She is one of our community superstars. She's vice president of Volcano Friends Feeding Friends. She has recently been certified to be a CERT member. That's a community emergency response team member. And you're also doing work with our civil defense agency. Miley, that is so amazing. What kind of drawn you to wanting to get more involved and be a support to community members in times of disaster?
Actually, my biggest dream and goal is to be a FEMA worker. So in order to get there, I have to do the steps to get there.
Was there any experience that you went through that really inspired you to want to help at that higher level?
Life lessons.
Life lessons. I know that you folks were really instrumental in helping to do a lot of the food distributions during the pandemic. Talk to us about what it means to serve community in that way.
Just to be able to give food or a hug to someone that really needs it is more rewarding than anything.
Yeah, especially when they're at their most vulnerable. It's so nice, I think, for them to see members of their community reaching out and providing support. Talk to me a little bit about the certification process. What's involved? How long did that take?
Actually, it was really quick. It took about 2 months of online studies. And once we passed that, then we did the hands-on training.
What were some of the things that you had to learn online?
Everybody's Googling it right now on their phone. Cheaters.
Knowing who is in charge and where we stand in the community and how we help in getting to the victims or to the properties, doing the assessments and getting paperwork in as quickly as possible so they can get aid quicker.
That's so important. I think you highlighted the fact that folks need to know their role. There's a role for government, there's a role for community. And when everybody knows their role and operates with excellence, then the community is really served. What was the hands-on project that you had to do as part of the CERT training?
Role plays.
Okay.
No, it
Can you
was
walk
Beat
us through
Joe
some of the
Black.
scenarios you guys did?
Well,
was
my
like anything
funnest
of Beat Joe
one
Black.
was I was the pregnant, injured, going in labor person. And the team had to figure out if my injuries was important enough to be seen first, middle, or last. And of course, pregnant women should be first.
Absolutely. Wow, that must have been a really intense situation to be going through.
It was fun for me because I twisted it up by saying I'm in labor now. So they didn't know how to respond, and it's like, no, I'm first.
But you know what's so great is like going through these situations and practicing.
Practice.
Because you never know what to expect in a disaster situation. It's so evolving, it's so dynamic. And so I like that you folks were trained up in any potential scenario of what could go wrong. That way you can test how you would respond in those situations.
Yes.
So now that you're CERT certified, you have a CERT team. Which community are you serving?
Fern Forest.
Fern Forest. And if folks want to get involved with connecting with you and the Fern Forest Hui, how would they do that?
They can always give me a call at 808-825-8758. And just inquire about it, and I'll send them to the proper area.
That's so awesome. Is there any mana'o that you want to share with folks about the importance of being prepared ahead of a disaster?
To the beginning of the song.
Prepared. And make sure the kids, if you have kids at home, make sure they have their bug out bag as well. It makes life so much easier, quicker response. Practice at home. Train everyone. Know your areas.
This one's for you, Gabby.
Thank you so much, Miley. It's great chatting with you. I appreciate all the work that you do for community.
Thank you.
We know you're here somewhere.
I am here with Brent Watson. He's an elder with the LDS Church. We're here at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. Brent, tell us the work that you do within the LDS Church to support communities during times of disaster and emergency.
Oh, it's a great question. I imagine most of the audience could answer it for me because we're very well known throughout the world for our response. Many people have seen the Helping Hands vests that were issued or T-shirts in various disasters. And so it's no different here. We've organized as well with communications. And when 2018 lava flow, we had a desk down at the entrance. When any of our people went in, they signed in, and we reported by means of ham radio back up to the chain in order to keep people informed who went in, who came out, and if somebody didn't come out, then we'd know.
Thank you so much to you and all of your members for all of your work to support our community. We have experienced a number of disasters, and you're right, you guys are no stranger to kind of stepping up and serving, so thank you. I have seen a number of booths that you folks have coordinated today. There is a vegetable tower garden. I also see someone with a lot of cans and preserved goods. Can you tell me a little bit about the message that you are sharing with community regarding food preparedness, resilience, and sustainability?
Yes, I can. I'd like to preface that with a personal experience. Not long after we moved to Hawaii, in 2009, I was called as a bishop. And being new, I didn't know many of the membership. So my wife and I set about to try and meet everyone, go to their homes. I would say we contacted about 95% of all of the members. And to our dismay, in a place where you can grow year-round, I saw no gardens. So I began talking about the parable of the 10 virgins, some being prepared and some not. And for this type of preparation is, of course, is no different. We have a booth in Station F1 where we have a master farmer from Honolulu area, Isaac Reynolds, and he is a taro akalo farmer. I say taro. I serve my mission in Samoa where it's talo. So sometimes I use the wrong word here. But he's very, very good, and he's got an excellent display over in the first booth. The next booth over has Jessica Aruda, And she has available through her purchase these garden towers. And they're neat because they can grow a lot of food in a very small space, maybe on a balcony. And it's a fantastic approach. We have one ourselves. My wife still worries, however, too much about rat lungworm disease and is afraid to eat anything I grow that's of a vegetable nature. Next to Jessica is Carrie Houston, and she and her husband are displaying how to preserve food and what the canned goods look like. A lot of people know what a jar of peaches looks like or whatever. Throughout my youth, my mom was always canning transparent apples for applesauce because it was so tart and wonderful, and so on and so on. The next booth over is one that I brought. Some emergency supplies, such as I've got a camp stove over there that could be used at home on the carport. And it'll boil water with a few twigs as the fuel source. And the heat that's created also creates electricity, and you can plug in a little light to cook by or a cell phone to charge. And there's also a cooking platform to put a pan on or a small pot. So it's very, very versatile, but very, very small.
That sounds really nifty. I have to check that out and maybe get one for myself. I love all of the work that your members are doing to just empower residents and households to just be prepared. I think the pandemic taught us an important lesson that I think we already knew, which is we're very vulnerable out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And so we really have to rely on ourselves. So I love that your members are here and they're giving folks access to resources and information to be resilient. Thank you so much, Brent.
You bet. May I add a couple of other points?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because they're over there.
Okay.
There are some examples of freeze-dried foods. A couple of people I know in our community actually have their own freeze-drying machine. It's about the size of a washing machine, and it's expensive, but you can buy it. And there's a company called Food for Patriots that packages all their products in relatively useful sizes in Mylar bags. And then we have some other examples from some other companies like Honeyville, and there are many, many. Thrive is another company you may have heard of that also sell freeze-dried products, and they come in number 10 cans. And there's differences of opinion on which is better. I like the smaller size personally because I don't have to eat up the whole can in 30 days before it spoils.
Sure. So you mentioned the food dryers. Do you folks ever do like community classes or workshops where folks can come and learn and do this together?
Periodically, we'll have a preparedness fair at one of our buildings, one of our church buildings.
2 minutes till our next giveaway.
Kilauea, we've done it before. We've done it out on Orchid Land. And we haven't done it for a while, so I suspect we're due. And there's big banners to support it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about what the LDS Church does to support our community.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to have you ask these questions.
Thank you, Brent. I'm here with Judy Houle. She is one of our community superstars. She leads the Puna Neighborhood Watch. She's also CERT certified, leading a team in Hawaiian Paradise Park. She also runs the Hawaiian Paradise Park Neighborhood Watch. She is a woman of many hats because she cares so much about our community. And I also think you run the food pantry in HPP. You do. You have such a heart for service. Judy, we're here at the Civil Defense Disaster Fair. And I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions about how do I become prepared as an individual and ensure that my household is ready for the next event. What kind of advice are you giving folks today?
Well, for us, you need to start with yourself and your family. You need to prepare an emergency kit, which of course is the 14 days supply of food, water, medications, and then after you prepare your family, some of us have moved ahead to help our communities with their plans. And right now we only have 2 communities that have a plan. So it's a big concern for us to share the information and help other communities, because right now only Hawaiian Paradise Park and Volcano have a community.
How would more communities go about modeling what you folks have done in HPP and Volcano?
Well, right now we have our booth here, and we also are sharing our websites and our email addresses, and we have handouts at our booth, templates they can follow, and we also have copies of our own community plan. So we're here to help as much as we can.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate the knowledge sharing. So you can actually help communities walk them through that process so that
Yeah.
they can customize plans for their neighborhoods.
Yes, because every community is a little different from the others, and we just want to give them a template to follow, and then they can customize to their own community.
That's great. And talk to us a little bit about the CERT team that you run. How would folks get involved? And tell us about the role that you play in the events of an emergency.
Well, I'm not the team leader, but I'm the operations chief. And we started the CERT team many, many years ago with just one person, then two people. But we grow and we try to motivate and inspire others to join. And we also have our email address. It's through the Civil Defense Department, so they can also find us on the Civil Defense website.
That's great. And then talk to us a little bit about Neighborhood Watch and the work that you do to ensure safety in our communities.
Well, Neighborhood Watch is very close to my heart. That was where it all started, was Neighborhood Watch. And getting to know your neighbors, finding ways to help them, listening to their concerns. So it's about being a good listener and then also being a good problem solver and connecting them with the resources and services that can help them.
You run a monthly meeting for Puna Neighborhood Watch groups. Can you tell us a little bit about how folks can plug into that if they're interested in attending?
Well, the Puna Neighborhood Watch meetings are for the leaders in the communities. So right now we have 24 communities in Puna.
24 communities in Puna have a Neighborhood Watch.
The largest on the whole island. So
That's
we're
amazing.
really proud and very appreciative of all the communities that are joining together every month with our police officers, our captains, and we have our special guest speakers.
Thank you so much for your leadership in all the different ways you support our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. All right, I am here with none other than Susie Bond. She helped to secure so many of the prize giveaways, all the prize giveaways at the Civil Defense Disaster Preparedness Fair. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
She's a member of VOAD, that's Volunteer Organizations Amidst Disasters.
Active in disaster.
Active in disasters, thank you. And then you're also the lead for our Citizen Corps. Can you tell
Correct.
us a little bit about that?
Citizen Corps is like an overall umbrella that brings together the NGOs, the non-government organizations, and the county organizations, and like Red Cross and Salvation Army. So MRC, the Medical Reserve Corps, CERT, our Community Emergency Response Teams, Neighborhood Watch, and VOAD are all a part of that, as well as Vibrant Hawaii, HVERI. There's all kinds of organizations. And then like research and development and the Kilauea Recovery Group and from the county, police, fire. So it's an all-reaching, trying to keep everybody together so we're all on the same page in a disaster.
Yeah.
And we know what our roles are.
So how did Citizen Corps form and when did it sort of come to life?
Citizen Corps, well, let's see, I've been with Citizen Corps for, I don't know, like over 10 years.
Okay.
It was done originally, it was done as a kumiai.
It's a Hawaii Island thing.
Yeah, well, but Citizen Corps is actually a national program.
It's a national program, and we've had it here
But we've
for
had
over
it here
a decade.
for probably closer to almost 30 years.
30 years.
It's been a while. So people like Gay Matthews, who were in charge way back when. Mitch was actually one of the people that was part of the original group. So it's something that has been around. It's had a couple of different names before we went under the Citizen Corps banner.
Okay, so
make it-
basically folks stay connected in the blue sky times,
Right.
knowing who does what, so that in the event that we have to mobilize and serve our community, whether it's a fire or a lava flow, folks know what people are bringing to the
or
table.
a hurricane,
or a
or all the
hurricane.
fun stuff we get to deal with here.
Yeah, but basically everybody's kind of working together to
Yes.
support communities in need.
And you know who you're working with. it's a lot easier if you actually know the faces that you're working with. It makes it a lot easier.
So the emphasis is really about building the relationship so that we have
Yes.
trust and can work with each other in
Which
these
is
challenging
the
times.
same thing VOED is sort of an overreaching and an umbrella for a number of organizations that do the same thing. But it's a way to get everybody to meet each other and get to know each other before all of a sudden you're thrown into a disaster and you're kind of like, hi, I don't know you, but let's work together. Although some of my best friends now, that happened during Excel.
Right. So is there are there resources that Citizen Corps provides members of our community to get prepared and ready for the next event?
Well, we actually have a program called Project 360. And generally there are 5 days of the year that there's like a flood or a disaster, something going on. But the other 360 days of the year, there is when we need to be preparing. So Project 360 has 4 pillars, and one of the pillars is communication, involving all the I went brain dead. The radio guys. It also, then there's the Ohana Preparedness group. Then there's the community planning part of it. And as always, I can never remember what the 4th one is, but we try to make sure that everybody is connected in some way to what's going on during a disaster. So
Great. So it's like a little booklet that folks can fill out. That way they know.
Well, it's a little
where to
booklet that
go
has,
to.
we have an Ohana emergency plan book. And in it was written to 5th grade local level so that it's not a lot of these other books get very technical and stuff. And this is really meant to be as simple as possible. It has things like where you should have your family meet up, or who you should have. When my baby sister lived on the mainland, if there was something going on here, everybody called her. And that way there was one person that you checked in with so that we knew everybody was okay. It also has your to-go bags for your pets and the elderly and babies, and so you have all of that information. And then it also has in there lists of like the foods and stuff. And then there's it also has one of your records, like your mortgage and your all the important papers that you need to have. You should put them on a thumb drive and have them somewhere where they're easily accessible. And it's little things like that people don't really think about. And all of that is in the book so that, if you have to. But it's better to be prepared up front rather than the day of the disaster. So I have like all of that stuff is in a plastic bag in the front of a file drawer.
But also
passports and
probably
everything.
digitized, right? In the
Yeah,
event.
I also have it digitized.
Right, and that is so important, I think, for folks to remember that
insurance policies.
Right, to file a claim with the federal government or insurance, they're going to need that documentation.
So you really need. I mean, it's amazing the amount of things that little things that all of a sudden in a disaster you're like, oh my God, I don't have that, and it's so easy to prepare up front. So, and that's the whole point of this.
Love that. Project 360, Ohana booklet, Citizen Corps. Where can folks go for more information if they want to join your hui?
They can call Bill Hansen at Hawaii County Civil Defense, and he will get them in touch with me, or we'll invite them to the next meeting. So we're just getting like the new Red Cross guy is finally going to come to the meeting.
Beautiful. Susie, thanks for everything that you do and for chatting with us.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. It's good. Thank you for all you do.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Special shout out to the Naleo TV crew, specifically David Alvarez, Richard Gonzalez, Ann Toledo, and Jasmine Gardner for being here to staff our Naleo TV booth. We have our brand new branding that we have released out into community today. So everybody is really enjoying this professional look that we have. But just want to take a moment to thank our team for being here, and also to Hawaii County Civil Defense for organizing such a thoughtful and successful event. Mahalo.